Vibes, She Dives with
Timber.
And I'm Lady Drasmin. We are your hosts here. Thank you so much for returning. If you have been with us since the beginning of the journey or any time since the beginning, and if you are new, welcome back. Here we talk spirituality, higher magic, and anchoring the new Now Earth timeline. So each week we pick a topic from our beautiful bowl and then we talk about it. Very free flow over a pot of ceremonial cacao. The following week, Timber comes in, offers his unique perspective and wisdoms. The following week, I come in, offer what wants to come through on that same topic, and then we start the whole process over again in 3 weeks. So let's light the candle. We are working still with the Mayan cacao and our eternal brew that just keeps giving.
Truth.
True that. All right. So that's steaming.
Oh my gosh. Not only does she make amazing cacao,
I think I finally
but
figured
she's
it
all
out.
fancy.
I'm all fancy with the pour.
I am not, and I am not going to be wearing this.
That's okay. That's okay. To the new Now Earth.
To the new.
Oh, that's hot.
Ooh.
Now that we have singed our fingertips again, because they're overrated.
You'd think every week our fingers would be like calloused by now.
I know. You'd think we'd learn by now, right? That the bloody teapot is so hot. Because I put it in the oven to warm up, which is awesome, but also like really hot.
But yeah. All right.
So let's find out what our topic is today. I think you picked last. Oh, I picked last week, so you get to pick this week.
Okay.
Woo! Let's take the other ones out.
I'm always so excited and so nervous at the same time.
Let's find out. Oh boy. Oh shit. Okay, so as we are recording this, we are about to go into a Pisces new moon. We are in Pisces season, which is wrapping up the zodiacal year. It is wrapping up the Capricornian cycle. Tell our audience what our topic for today is.
Oh my god, this is hilarious. Reptilians and the shadow governments who run the world.
Oh boy, talk about a timely topic.
Oh yeah.
As we enter this week, enter the closing of this big chapter within the collective. You know, over the last few weeks, I've definitely been sitting in ceremony with the High Priestess Sir. We did a 10-week ritual through the end of last year, closing out the Capricornian cycle. And I've been deep in quantum, doing a lot of, well, for lack of a better word, damage control, but that's not quite it. And the truth is coming out. The truth's been coming out for the last few weeks. Like, this is the time where it's like the bottleneck has opened and all the truths are being revealed. So here we are on this topic of the reptilians.
And the crazy thing is, like, even though what's his surfacing is not even like 10% of the truths that need to be exposed, which is like, that's even more mind-boggling.
10% is very generous.
Yeah. You know, it's like the government finally now admits that, oh yeah, there's UFOs and there's other beings out there, but yet people still don't talk about it. People are still just, I don't know, it's
Take us into this topic. Tell us what came up for you when you read that as our topic. This is it. This is where we spill the beans, we step into our discomfort and share our higher wisdoms and our human perspectives. So
yeah. Well, you know, it's just like, I remember years ago I had a friend that a dude that used to work with me at the hospital. And he was very into, he's like, oh, the reptilians behind everything, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and I kind of believed him, but I kind of didn't. And then, like, as the years go by, I see and I've tapped into, and it's like the more my consciousness level goes up and my frequency, the more you see through the things. And I'm just like, oh. I'm like, so there's so much that is plain sight and also very hidden. I'm from Colorado. DIA, they literally have posters on the wall of like jokes about how the reptilians stole the construction workers' tools. Be careful with the reptilians.
P.S. Those aren't jokes.
No, they're real. And DIA, yeah. Anyways, so it's fascinating how it's like they put it out there, and
a lot of the movies and TV shows and advertisements and jokes that they do isn't a joke. It's a fucking documentary exposure, but it's distorted. So it's not quite the truth, but it's enough. It's like that behavior of narcissists where they just kind of like out themselves, but they're not outing themselves. They're like displacing it. So it requires a lot of discernment.
Yeah, and they always do it in ways that we see it as entertainment or as jokes or blah, 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 as opposed to like...
And that's what keeps the collective, the majority of the collective, in stasis, in sleep. Because it's humor, it's light, it's entertainment. So why would we pay attention?
Yeah, exactly. But like, you know, what's fascinating is like, even with like the Google Earth and how they're doing drones now, and people are finding more and more like sacred sites or different things and like caves and different stuff that's been hidden. And so it's like more and more things, like you said, whether it's like ancient stuff being exposed, and then you find carving on the walls about them controlling, or, you know, there's old stories, especially in the indigenous cultures. Indigenous cultures have long history of fighting reptilians. And like, but you don't hear that as much in, they have dragons in Europe.
Dragons are universal.
They have dragons in Europe. That's like the most lizard they get, it seems like, in...
And those aren't the reptilians that we're talking about here.
No. But so it's interesting what cultures do still talk about it. And they're like, oh yeah. Versus like other cultures or other places, and they're like...
So tell us your first experience where, or like an experience where it was like your first experience of like, oh, there's something not right. Or where you first saw through that facade.
Oh, that's easy, and this is an interesting story. Because this also goes into how they manipulate and they control and they can hijack our bodies. So
we're going to talk about the body hijacking here in a moment.
My experience with that would be when I dated this girl after I got divorced at 40. And I dated this woman, and her entity, I was so low in vibration because I was so depressed and so like, you know, I was 40 years old. I was literally, anyways, starting over. Anyways, so I was low enough that it could attach to me. And it was a nasty. And it got to the point where it was literally stabbing me through my back, my shoulder blade, to the point where I could barely move my arm. I was so depressed, I couldn't very function. And one of my really close brothers, Andrew Lee, who could see, he came in and he was like, oh, you have something on you. And I was like, what? And he got it off me. But anyways, it's the dark entities, the beings, the lizard. So anyways, that was but that also taught me of what they're capable of, and how they try to attack and control and manipulate us.
You just shared a key there of how they attach. It is when you are in a low frequency, when you are sickly, when you are not healthy, when you are eating foods that are GMO modified. Anything modified is a vehicle, a doorway, so to speak, that allows lower frequency energy, because you're allowing something that is unnatural into your body, and you're basically creating the lock for their key to enter. So, if you're just, someone cuts you off and you get all pissed off and aggravated and grumpy, boom, you've just lowered your vibration. They can come through that. And it's so important to talk about even more. I mean, most of the population, probably most of the people tuning into this already know, like, yeah, we know, there's darkness that's controlling the world. Yet how do they connect to us? And how do they stay connected, right? One is relationships, right? You were in a low place, the energy felt that opportunity, latched in. My experience, is a little different, and I've always seen demons and spirits from a child. I've had this gift of sight since I could remember. So I've always seen the darkness. I've always seen what others don't see. And I know I've talked about this in another episode, but I don't remember which one. I was encouraged and celebrated for seeing angels and the good guys. But when it came to seeing demons, if I saw them in a person who was supposed to be a good guy, I was dismissed for it, shall we say. And so it started to create this fracture within me of like, wait, now I'm confused because I'm seeing this demon working through this quote unquote preacher or this doctor or this, lawyer who's for human rights or whatever the fuck. But I'm being told that I'm just not being acknowledged for that. Like, oh, we don't talk about that, or get beaten into silence or whatever. And then my gift shut down around the age of 11 because of a traumatic incident. And my experience to that reawakening happened over 2 years after my sit with a shaman teacher that I connected with. And I believe I talked about this in that episode on shamanism, where I was working with this teacher who called herself a shaman for over 2 years. And my second 𝗏𝗏 DMT ceremony with her at Mount Shasta, there were other people there in that ceremony. I was pulled out of my body by Archangel Metatron, and I saw the darkness working through her. And the darkness had been siphoning my energy. And so what I learned in that, another way that entities can attach is when you give blind trust.
Oh, I'm glad you shared
without
that.
Tapping into your own personal power. Because here is a teacher, here is a guide, here is the government who is creating systems and structures to support you. And meanwhile, they're just siphoning your fucking life energy. So yeah, there's that one way of like, yeah, we're depressed, it's obvious, we're angry, we're in low frequency. But what if you're in that energy of trust, and that trust is displaced? Instead of trusting self, you're trusting something other than you, and darkness is working through that displaced trust to siphon your power and your energy.
Yeah.
And because there is so much darkness in the world today, it's quote unquote easier to slip back into their webs.
Totally. And especially because they control every aspect of humanity on the planet. Whether it's gas, food, electricity, like everything we need or we rely on to survive.
Basic human rights.
They are in control of all of it.
And we see it in a world that is addicted to money. We see it in a world that is addicted to proving why one is worthy. We see it in a world that is in a hustle and grind mindset over being in divine flow and the natural rhythms of life. Right? And so we allow ourselves to be controlled under the perception that this is the only way. If I don't do this, I won't get my basic human rights.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And they know, and they've been doing it since the flood, since before, like Atlantis and Lemuria. After all that, like once they got into Egypt, it's like they haven't stopped taking over and controlling everyone and everything. So it's like they're masters at it at this point. It's well over thousands of years that they've been doing this.
It's well over thousands of years. So let's talk about that first infection that happened, right? I'm going to share my perspective, and this is stuff that I haven't shared before, but this is the point of this.
Yeah.
Okay. back to Atlantis.
Oh.
So these memories came back to me a few years ago, and they had been coming to me in pieces. My first connection with my Atlantean timeline was about 7 years ago, give or take. 7-8 years ago, and I met this woman, trans woman, on a dating app. And after our first date, I was like, we're not really in alignment, but we can be friends. And fast forward, that friendship quickly ended. But in between that time, I was in the middle of like transitioning out of my medical career, finding I was in between like the medical career and the spiritual path. I had just gone through the miscarriage I talked about a few episodes ago, and I was just like, I allowed myself to be pulled into a sexual relationship with her. And I didn't understand in that moment what was happening, right? I just felt like we just need to connect sexually. And then I was like, okay, there's a higher wisdom here. And so I allowed this story that I had witnessed around me to become my story, where I perceived that the only way to clear the energy, to heal whatever past life we've had, because I was aware of past lives up to this point. I was loosely aware of karmic cycles, but I was under this distortion that in order for us to clear the past, we needed to entangle sexually in the now. Well, in this sexual connection, I started getting flashes that I didn't really understand. And then this person literally walked out of my life in the middle of the night, because I came back from a 3-week vision quest, and I'm like, something's not right. And I attempted to communicate, although I wasn't coming from a place of love, and I was really charged and emotional, and she literally left in the middle of the night. I didn't hear from her for a few years. So those memories kind of like were there, fragmented in my consciousness. And around this time I was visiting with that shaman teacher. So like my energy was being siphoned. So I wasn't being allowed to really remember what was coming through, because the darkness could see that if I remembered, then they would not have control over me. So that's one key that I want to share. Sometimes we feel a need to be sexually connected with someone when we really don't need to be entering that space. We can still clear the karma and the loops without entangling and creating more charge. And I clearly didn't learn that lesson that one time. It happened a few more times before I finally got the fucking picture. But memories started coming up, and then they got a little subdued. A few months later, I found out about the shaman teacher. And then I really started to do the work to call my power back to me. Another 1.5 years passed. And then I met this other woman in a state that I was living at. And I initiated her into a priestess pathway. And it was another fucking messy relationship, because I felt deep attraction to her. But at the same time, I felt called to give her these priestess rights. And I allowed myself to fall under that distortion again, and I mixed my sexual energy with her, and that created a whole fucking clusterfuck. That is a different story, but the point of that is, in that connection with her, I started getting even more clarity of those memories from 1.5 years prior. I'm like, what? This is really interesting. Like, this is 1.5 years ago, a completely different person. Well, she was an activator for me. And that sexual energy, just like, yes, it created more mass, but it also fueled my awakening. And she started having visions of a white dragon. And then her body would be taken over by entities. And she would say things like, I am your twin flame, I have died, I am the black dragon, you are the white dragon. And it was like really weird. And I was like getting like memories of like lifetimes in Atlantis and like Lemuria and things like that. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then I finally did some cord cutting rituals. Took me 3 months to clear that energy, really like reset the boundaries with her, which ended up her exiting my life. But she was the only other person who had ever seen dragon in my energy. And the first was with this other woman, this trans woman, years ago. And so after this woman cleared out of my life, I like spent a lot of time in meditation and prayer. And then the memory came back flooding to me. And I've spent the last few years really sitting with, was this true? Or am I just making shit up? Because it was like such immense, it was like such an intense thing that happened. And literally a few weeks ago, I talked with the priestess sister, and she helped me like come to peace and claim my memory. So back in Atlantis, there was a hierarchy, so to speak. There were two priests, and they connected with the black and white. One had a connection with the white dragon, and one had a connection with the black dragon. And then they came and they received messages from the dragons, and they talked to this group of priests who then went and connected. So there's like a hierarchy of order. And these two priests that were at the very top of the order, they and their dragons were responsible for the entire grid line of the earth, of maintaining it. So one priest had this relationship with the white dragon, and the other priest had a relationship with the black dragon. It wasn't a sexual relationship, but it was a relationship where the priests were celibate. All of their time and energy was in communion with the dragon, and then the priests communicated with each other in ritual, and then they went and dispersed those wisdoms. I was connected to the white dragon in that life. And then this other priest was connected to the black dragon. This other priest was this woman, this trans woman that I had met a few years ago. And she remembered upon meeting me who I was. And so I felt her attraction to me through that lifetime and played it out. It wasn't even my attraction. But because she had that remembrance of power and I was in trust, I became a victim.
Interesting.
To that energy. That wasn't even mine. Like every time we made love, I was like, this doesn't feel right. But I couldn't stop myself. It was like I was hooked and I just kept getting pulled in. And the only time I felt like I was myself was when I went off for weeks. And she knew. Months later, she finally came back into my life, and she acknowledged. She's like, yeah, I knew what I was doing. And I did it intentionally because I still had feelings, and I allowed that timeline to play out. And that was confirmation, right? So I remembered back at that timeline, this priest fell in love with me, but we weren't allowed to have human relationships. That was part of our vows. But they had feelings for me. And then because they had feelings for me, it took away their attention from the devotion that they had made commitments to. And that created a weakness that allowed reptilian energy to come in and infect them with envy. That envy grew into jealousy and became this living spark. And one day, when I went and showed up in temple to honor my duties, they shot this energy nuclear weapon thing that's not of this earth. I wouldn't even know how to describe it, but it hit the dragon under its wing and went right into its heart and killed the white dragon. And because the dragon and I were connected, my soul splintered. Like I literally splintered. The dragon died. When the dragon died, the grid of the entire earth fell. That's when the reptilians came in and infected the entire consciousness. So I had to work with the guilt of being responsible for the fall of Atlantis, even though it wasn't my fault.
Right.
And then the black dragon, who had a sexual bond with the white dragon, was so distraught that he fucking took off. And he's still lost. The black dragon is still lost in grief. And so I've spent the last several years calling back not just my soul power and my fragmented soul that happened in this split, but also reclaiming the white dragon and infusing it into me. And so when I say I connect with the dragons, I don't just connect with the dragons, I am a dragon. And I share this because that is just one of many memories of how the reptilians came in and inseminated their energy into the lower vibrations of humans when they had that opportunity when Atlantis fell. And humanity has not recovered since.
Nope.
And a lot of those priests who were in that second tier are the forefathers of the families that are in power in today's world. And those entities have still been working through them.
That doesn't surprise me.
And so this is what I was... I have held back from sharing this story because on one hand it's like, wow, really? You are the reason the Atlantis fell and the entire planet, you know, and it wasn't just Atlantis that fell, Egypt fell too, because there were direct lines with Thoth and Ma'at at that time. And, you know, I like the two main pillars that were holding the entire world together, one was literally shattered and then the other one just fucking took off, broke everything. That's why everything just happened instantly. All because someone fell in love and there was unrequited love. And we're still paying for that. And I've had to sit with this within myself for the last few years. And it, you know, I'm still working through now how do I. And that's part of what makes me so good in the quantum work that I do, because I have already gone through those trainings in those lives to tap into the grid lines of the earth and know exactly what to connect and how to see things. And it is what makes me a master alchemist. But I cannot break, or rather repair, because it's already fucking broken. I cannot repair everything on my own this time because I don't have a high priest who's in devotion with me, supporting the earth, and because the population of the earth has greatly increased since then. So more leaders are needed to repair the damage. But a lot of the leaders of today's world are either scattered or constantly being pulled back into the human experience of envy and emotions and jealousy and pettiness and arguments and just things that just keep you from always being here. Because one thing pulls you, and then another thing pulls you, and then another thing pulls you, and then another thing pulls you, and then you're just here, and then you're like, ah. And you can feel it when you're like, I can't seem to get out of this loop. It's because the sexual energy is entangled. It's because the emotional energy is entangled. It's because there's distortion of obligation and divinity. And now we have, like, for example, all the chemtrails, but I was going to say the power lines.
Oh, the 5G.
Not even the 5G, just the regular power lines all over the world. They are going against the natural ley lines of the earth. So they are like blocking the energy from flowing, because that's what they did. So when the natural grid lines of the earth fell, the energy still needed channels, right? Because it's still fucking there. So they created roadways, systems, pathways, power lines to channel this energy. So instead of the energy flowing this way, it's like flowing this way, flowing that way, flowing this way. It's not flowing. And so it's really, really, really hard to restore the divine template of the earth, because there's literal fucking buildings in the way. Because crystals and stones have been removed from the earth that hold that energy and channel it into certain ways. And that's just one part of it.
Yeah.
Now, why is it that there are people like myself, and I know I'm not alone, who are actively doing the work to show up and do whatever we can to prevent the continued corruption of consciousness. There's a question that has been posited to me a couple of times in the last few weeks, and it definitely came up last week, is why are these people not getting their karma? You know?
Yeah.
Okay. And I have an answer to that. So there are the 72 Solomonic seals. These 72 seals each represent one of the angels of God. And they are symbols of power. But these symbols have been inverted and drenched in human blood and are used to deflect karma.
Against those beings.
Against,
like the Rothschilds and all the main.
So all these people in power have taken the seals of God and what is divine and perverted it. And so okay, let me see what I'm allowed to speak here. And so they cannot be hurt by light magic because they are using light magic with distortion. So it's like
sneaky.
So it's really fucking sneaky. So it's like I keep doing spells. Why aren't my spells working? Because they are using master symbols to create illusions. It's like talking about this in English is so challenging. It's like, you know how magnets, you need to have a negative and a positive, but they've taken the positive to make it appear a negative, so the positive isn't hitting with that.
So no matter what you do, they will not.
Exactly.
That's a great analogy.
Okay, so like, I'm currently in the process of creating a container with a certain number of people to work directly with the dismantling of the distortion on the divine seals so that justice can come in and start breaking their power. But it's not easy work to do because they have been feeding their distortion with blood sacrifice and the blood of children. And I was witness to a lot of these satanic rituals for almost a decade, and I've seen what they do, and it's really fucking disturbing. Like, you know, we talk about, oh, you know, like there's a housing crisis and there's a climate crisis. The real fucking crisis is that they have turned the divine into desecration. And that is not being addressed. Like, that is the root right now. That is what's protecting them, because they're literally using the seals of God to protect themselves, but they're not going to get that power because they're not in divine. So they're getting the power to feed these seals through darkness. And because the darkness is so prevalent in our world today, it's a real fucking, it's real effort to constantly be in integrity and to constantly be in alignment and to know where our energy goes, where our thoughts go, where our time goes, where our sexual energy goes, where our money goes, where our resources go. So yes, there are the shadow governments, or the shadows, or the energies that are controlling our governments, but we have to also recognize that these are descendants of priests and priestesses who have had their consciousness taken over, and over hundreds and thousands of years have had their DNA distorted and rewritten, where they think and truly believe that what they're doing is okay. And so that's what they come out with, goodness. Oh, we're here for justice. We're here for human rights. We're here for Black Lives Matter and trans lives matter, and this matters and that matters. And they're really, you know, they perceive that they're coming from a place of light. But what they're not looking at is the root from hundreds and thousands of years ago that has distorted their DNA to create what they are now. So they just don't give a fuck.
Right.
And they can't because they literally don't have that in them anymore.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense. Whew. I remember years ago, one of my favorite YouTube video. Anyways, one of my favorite YouTubers is Elizabeth April. Mm-hmm. And I love her. Mm-hmm. And I love how she just speaks authentically, how she channels and is able to speak. And I remember one of the videos she does, she has a bunch of reptilian ones. I highly suggest you go check them out. But she talks about how, like in ancient Egypt, it got to the point where the lizards beings were it was so bad that the Federation stepped in at that point, and they were like, either get off the planet or go underground. And you can't control and manipulate, you can't do anything with humans. And they went underground, but like you said,
they had already infected a lot of humanity.
And they know how to work through us in all of our lower vibes. So they know how to manipulate their masters.
They're master manipulators.
Masters.
And so yeah, maybe
things have gotten crazy since Queen Elizabeth died. Just saying. I know I shouldn't say that.
No, this is what needs to be spoken.
Queen Elizabeth was like, from what I understand, was like the head dog of humans, besides like the families. Like she was in charge.
I mean, the British Empire has controlled, and as of the current now, is still in control of the majority of the world today. I mean, English is the most spoken language after Chinese. You know, so they have literally inseminated themselves in almost every aspect of our lives, whether we like it or not, whether we want to believe it or not. I mean, look at the fucking Constitution. The very first line is, "In God we trust." Not in myself, in God, in something outside of me.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a problem. Because
I never thought about that, but yeah, you're right.
Like all these children going to school, I pledge allegiance. Not to myself, not to the divine, not to what is holy.
We're constantly taught to give ourselves away.
Exactly.
That's fine. That's crazy. But again, those are the things we talk about. Like when you start to see through those layers, more and more things pop up, and you're like, over and over and over and over again.
Lady Justice, she's blindfolded. Why is justice blindfolded? It needs to be seen. Right?
Yes.
There's so many ways that and tell me what you're thinking about this, but it feels like, especially over the last few years, there has been more revelation, because it's almost like they're bored. They're like, come on, catch me if you can.
Yeah, I wonder if it's between that or just because our technology has evolved into a certain point.
Both.
To where they can't hide what they used to.
Probably a combination of both. I feel that it's a combination of their boredom, because they've been doing the same fucking dance for lifetimes. Technology increasing, where it's becoming increasingly difficult to hide things. And also like Mother Earth reawakening, because beings like you and me are doing what's right. Not what's easy, what's right.
Yes.
Right?
And not only that, but like the fascinating thing is like you can get on YouTube and just be like shapeshifters on camera. And you'll see celebrities, these are news reporters, and like in the middle of it, they're like their eyes shape shift or their face shifts. But like again, in the 50s and before that, like that we couldn't see that.
All right.
Or if you did see it in person, you're just like, I don't know. But our consciousness wasn't at that level. And so as our consciousness has been raising,
it also makes me think of like the can of worms analogy, right? Like you can only stuff so much trash into a trash bag before it starts coming out. And it feels like that's where we're at, or have been for the last few years. I mean, the whole pandemic thing was such a fucking joke, right? It was like their effort to create control really backfired.
But they're getting, like you said, they're getting so blatant, like Hawaii. That fire, that was no fire. There's no way cars melt like that direct Like, that's old, ancient Atlantis technology of being able to use to melt and to turn a city on fire. That was no accident. I'm pretty sure Los Angeles wasn't either. And a lot of other things. But like you said, there's like, they're getting bold. They're just like, what are you going to do? Or they know they're losing and they're throwing Hail Marys. That's my other theory.
That's what I choose to believe, is that they know their time is out. And they're so fucking desperate to like hold on to control that they are creating more chaos and destruction. So people are reliant on them. Oh, we're going to send relief. We'll sign checks. We'll do humanitarian things for you. Come to us. We'll help you. We'll support you. We'll put you in a shelter. We'll not actually replace your house or make things better. We're just gonna, provide just enough. That's what they do. Just enough, just the bare minimum, just enough to make you feel like, oh, okay, I guess I'm getting help, so I should just be thankful.
And what's the main thing we've always been taught? Just be grateful for
just
what
be
you
grateful
have.
for what you have. Exactly.
Don't question things. Be grateful.
Put your head down and just say thanks. Be grateful you have a roof over your head. Be grateful you have running water.
There's a difference between having true gratitude and being told that we need to be grateful for the shit that we have to endure. That's not even our shit.
Yeah, it's not even our shit, right? Housing is a basic human right. You don't see the birds and the animals lining up at their social security office waiting for their fucking benefits. They are provided for by nature because they are in a symbiotic relationship with nature. Why are there so many structures and edifices and systems in place for basic human rights? Like where I'm at, electricity, they just increased the rate. The charges for that. And it's like they strive so hard, and it feels like I feel personally the energy of desperation because they know their time is up. This cannot be. The earth will not allow it. God will not allow it. God has literally anointed and sent people like you and me into this earth to break it. Like, oh yeah, this shit has perpetuated in my lifetime for hundreds and thousands of years until it met me. Try me. Everything that I've gone through, when I share my story with people, they're like, how are you alive?
Yeah.
It's because I cannot be touched by that darkness until I allow it. And for a long time I did, because of programming and beliefs and societal conditions that made me believe that my power was outside of me. I also stood in front of the American flag at some point on fucking Super Bowl Sunday. I pledge allegiance to the flag of America. It's a fucking object.
Yeah.
So I had to work through that, and I've burned Bibles, I've burned the Constitution, I've done a lot of fire rituals to clear that energy. Even last year, I was preparing for a Bible burning ritual that I was asked to lead, and I was preparing this for 5.5 weeks. And literally the few days before the July 4th ceremony, my fire pit was desecrated and I was kicked out of my living space. But guess what? I found another space and the ritual happened. And it took me 6 months to repair the quantum damage from that simple act of selfishness that came through as obey my rules or else. And what came to me perceivably had nothing to do with what I was doing in the quantum, and yet everything to do with it. And that's where it's so important to have discernment and self-awareness and that unshakable connection with the divine within yourself. Somebody asked me yesterday, what does it mean to be a priestess? And I said, it is to be unwavering in your commitment to the utmost high. You can question your strength. You can have doubts on your faith, but you can never question your commitment and your service and what you do. Because the moment you question that loyalty, that's when they come in.
True.
And we're the priests and the priestesses of today's world. Far and few in between. A lot of us are in hiding. I've definitely been in hiding until the last few months.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things I don't share.
Yeah. There's things that I've held back on sharing in today's episode because it's like, I have to protect the work that I'm doing until it's complete, so it's not influenced.
Yeah. Yeah. Whew, thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah.
That was all beautiful. You know, it's like, you know, the funny thing is, like, I do want to add, like, my last main relationship, I was attacked again by the lizards. Through my ex, who I loved with all my heart, and I was even talking marriage. And like, I remember things went 2 years of no issues, love, compassion, until the end. And then it just switched. And I was like, and she almost broke my soul in the process. But when I ran into her in town, she started yelling at me again. And I was like, that's not... And I remember like looking in her eyes, and I was like, "That's not her." And even the voice and the energy was so different. I was just like,
they use pain as an entry point.
But the thing is, that day I ran into her. I went home, and I was just crying. I was a mess. I was in fetal position on the couch, like just broken open. But I started getting flashes, and I started seeing, like, there's the moments where I kept seeing like her eyes or something during those years, and being like, that feels lizard. Do I trust this? And every time I was like, she loves me so much, maybe it's a good lizard being. There are good lizard beings out there, as well as the bad ones. Long story short, anyways, as those images kept popping, I realized I have her entity controlling me. And in that moment, I was on my couch, and I called in Archangel Michael, Master Yeshua and Mary, Isis, Hathor. I can't remember who else, but I was like, I call in all of you. Yes. And I was like, get this fucking thing out of me now. And I literally had an exorcism on my couch where I literally felt the room get ice cold, and I felt them all around me, and I felt them drag out of my mouth. Let me tell you, I've seen this in movies. Feeling it is a whole other thing where you're like, you're literally fucking gagging as you can feel it being drug out of you. Hell of a thing. But anyways, after that is when Archangel Michael, during a meditation, showed me how since the time before I was even born, the darkness that runs this world has been aware of my soul.
Of course.
And has tried everything to fucking kill me, destroy me, or keep me in low my whole life. And it kept showing me situations over and over again.
Same here.
And you're like, what? But it changes everything, how you see things.
Once you see, you can't unsee.
It's the Matrix.
Yeah, the fucking Matrix movies were documentaries. Like, I've seen those movies so many times, and I learn more every single time. I've lost count of how many times I've watched these movies, but like every time I watch these movies, I learn more.
Yeah. And what's creepy is that whole, like, them be able to, like, those Smiths, they can go in any human.
Yep, that's exactly what. That's how they can literally transfer their energy from one person to another and completely take over, where you still feel like yourself, but at a subtle level, if you sit the fuck down and feel, you're like, something is not right.
Yes.
Really, like, I am inviting you to lean into that. Something is not right. And if you need help, reach out to me. Reach out to a shamanic practitioner that you feel connected to and trust. Like, I work and specialize with entity extraction, among other things, and soul retrievals. Like, and that's why, like, we have to pledge allegiance to ourselves, to our divinity, to our God, goddess essence.
Take our sovereignty back.
Take our sovereignty back, because That's the key to breaking the cycle.
And not only that, but like you start to realize that there's actual codes to call in, to be like the slave code of like, I choose in my soul consciousness to release the slave code that I've been under, or the what's the financial one. Like there's the
poverty wound, the scarcity tie. I also want to mention something about the word real ease. Okay, this is an English word. Listen to it. RELEASE. Release. So are you real easing? Are you exiting? Are you cutting this out? Or are you releasing it? You're in a lease with it again and again and again.
Oh no.
So this word release is another word that they are tapped into to keep you in a perpetual, seemingly never-ending contract with certain energies and entities. Really? I release my ex. Actually, you just released yourself to that contract.
Fuckers. That's tricky.
Yep, it's super tricky. So I always...
That's huge in the spiritual community.
Yep.
Like that's in almost all ceremonies.
Yep.
We're releasing. We're releasing.
No, that's why I don't use the word release in my ceremonies.
What do you use instead?
Real ease. With real ease, I cut. I surrender. I neutralize. I alchemize. I complete with real ease.
I can feel that shift. I can feel the difference.
You feel that?
Yeah. I feel
so that's another, like, this is what we're talking about. Like these fucking subtle, sneaky ways that they just keep you in perpetual slavery to the darkness. Oh, of course I'm gonna release this. Release. And this came to me about 1.5 years ago. And I was just like, you mother.
Wow. I need to work on my consciousness around that.
And it's huge in the spiritual and in the healing community as well.
It's humongous. I can't tell you how many circles
and also the other word healing, right? Like think of how it sounds like HEALING, healing, okay? But it also sounds like heal in. Healing. I mean, my heel is in. My foot is inside you right now. I'm not actually healing you, I'm heel in. And that doesn't happen as often, but it's something that came up a few months ago where I was sitting in this meditation circle with someone in town, and I heard that energy through that. I was like, that's really interesting. And after that, I meditated on it, and that's when I completely detached the word healer from how I show up in the world. Because I'm not anybody's healer. I'm a guide and I'm a channel, but you are your own healer. Right? So it's like, it's not just how words are spelled, it's also how words sound. Like the other word is weekend, right? Saturday and Sunday is a time for rest. But weekend, it has kept consciousness in continued weakening for the week ahead. I am weakened for my week. I am weakened for my week. So I use the word awaking. I'm awake and keen for the week ahead. And I don't know what fucking word to use for week. I've been working on it with a sister. She's calling it a quarter month cycle, which, okay, I get it, but it's too long. So it's like the words that we use are also so important in how we speak of ourselves, how we speak to others, how we speak of the soul work that we're doing. Real ease. With real ease, I cut the cords. I do not allow this back into my life.
That's interesting, I mean, especially with the whole healer thing too.
Heal in.
Because I always say I'm a hollow bone. You know, I always tell people I'm just a big fucking straw that looks like a Viking when I'm doing work. Because it's like I'm not doing anything but holding space and just controlling what needs. Not even controlling. That's not even the right word. It's
harnessing
more like,
and alchemizing.
Yeah, I'm just making sure it's a safe space and the darkness isn't coming through. But yeah.
Yeah.
It's always something.
It's always something. So, you know, again, that brings us back to like how the English language has been used to control. But it's more than control. It's to like limit even critical thinking. You know, critical thinking isn't something that's taught in our schools in any part of the world. You know, I've gone through education in the East and in the West, and it's like you're given a material, you're expected to memorize it, and you're expected to follow it and take that as your absolute penultimate truth.
And what happened to all the free thinking beings that have walked this walk? They've accidentally died, suicide,
Martyrs.
yeah. And how many people have created vehicles that run on water that accidentally die a week later? Like,
Accidentally.
fucking look what happened when they did a Tesla.
This is why it's so important to have a community and have people around you that you trust that are also walking the same path alongside you, because there is power in numbers. And it takes me back to that parable that I heard as a child. You know, one stick, easily broken. Multiple sticks in a bundle, can't really break that. So it's so important to not go on this journey alone, even if you feel alone or you perceive solidarity is the only way.
It's true.
Or not solidarity, solitude, excuse me.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there are moments where you do need to sit alone and be with yourself. And it's important to get comfortable with being alone and, you know, being in joy and solitude. But we are not designed to be alone. And that's what they feed on. They feed on the desperation of your loneliness.
That's why in all my posts or when I communicate with groups of people, I always try to remind everyone that we're stronger together, shoulder to shoulder, than we are against each other. It's a simple thing, but but it's the truth. But you know what's funny? Have you watched on Netflix this cartoon called Inside Job?
No.
You need to. So they basically made this like adult humor cartoon where they're like this corporation worked for the shadow government, and like literally one of the first episodes they had to go to like for donation money. They had to show up at the lizards party, and it was like you had Harvard, and then underground was the real Harvard, and like they went, all these celebrities are showing up, and like at one point like Queen Elizabeth and Taylor Swift were like talking, and then they shapeshift into lizards, and they like go and grab their cup and drink their blood, and like, but they're like straight up like every episode I watch, I laugh uncomfortably because I'm stoked because they're literally telling you the truths. And at the same time, it's like, because they're telling the truths. But people are like, but again, it's disguised with humor in different ways. And it's like, oh, it's just a fucking cartoon. You're like, did you know Star Wars is more of like the story of the galaxy than like a sci-fi movie? There's a lot of things that's very fascinating. But you know, but again, if you get a chance, or like Jupiter Ascending movie.
Oh yeah.
There's more truth to that movie.
Or even like the Doctor Strange movies, right? So much truth there in our ability to harness our power to alter our sense of reality.
Yeah.
I get codes every time I watch this movie.
Yeah.
These movies.
Yeah.
Well, all of them, really. But yeah, especially like Doctor Strange. There was also the show called Magicians that I watched. It was on Netflix for a while, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Which also had a lot of codes. And I've definitely been I'm not very big into TV, but when I do hop on, you know, I'm definitely like led to watch something and check something out. And it's either because, well, it's usually a combination of doing the quantum work to remove the distortion so that people who are watching the show can see the truth without the distortion, and to receive codes that then help me with my quantum work. It's like impossible for me to watch TV these days without working.
It'd be exhausting.
So fucking exhausting. But this is part of the work that needs to happen right now. You know, it's like I don't get a day off. I'm always on call. Although a few days ago I received a download, which just like has made it so my dream space work is 3 times as more effective as it was before, which is super awesome.
Hell yeah.
Right. But I you know, it's like it for years I suffered in isolation because I perceived that I didn't have people to relate to and to talk about some of the deeper work I was doing. And to a certain degree, there are still like things that I don't talk about because that's just what I'm guided to, and I trust that. And at the same time, I have noticed as I have been coming out of the closet, so to speak, more and more. Oh.
Wow, did we actually finish a pot?
Yeah. Let me go and get a little more.
That's a first.
That's a first, right?
Well, she's doing that. You know, it's like... Actually, I'm going to wait for her to finish. Because boom. Gratitude.
Yeah, of course. Towards the end, nice and thick. You know, I perceived that I didn't have anyone to talk about, but the more I allow myself to accept, and this is the other piece, right? We have to accept our intuition. We have to accept our feelings. I feel that there's something off, so I'm going to trust that. Even if nobody else sees it, eventually somebody else will see it, and then you'll be like, oh my God, thank you. And that's the thing. It's like there's so much dilution in today's world, and so much interference with the 5G towers, with the constant like pumping in of stuff. And a lot of it is happening at the subconscious level, like the advertisements, a lot of the modern songs, movies, you know, even in movies, they're like pumping subliminals through it. And you're like, oh, I'm just watching a kid's movie. Are you?
Not to mention the political and this and our foods and all the things. Non-stop. It's non-stop. It's really not easy being human with all the things thrown at us constantly.
So what would you suggest someone who is like wanting to start doing the active work of breaking free? Because we are, and I don't believe in burn it all down and let's just start over, because a lot of this is what's holding us right now. We need to use discernment and figure out, okay, what does need to be burned and just like cut off, and where can we build with what we have.
Yeah.
We can't escape it because it's fucking everywhere.
I think a lot of that is, you know, it's just like the awareness, and it's like, and having an open mind. Because we are so taught that, like, how could that be real? But yet, again, like I was saying earlier, you know, a lot of us have always believed in a star family out there. And we've always been told we're crazy, whatever. But now it's like we have official documentation from the government that says they do exist. They have worked with them. So it's like, but it's like using, like you said, discernment. And it's like allowing ourselves to stand back and see and feel into, like, that's tricky because that takes a lot of years of self-work to get to the point to
it does.
Feel and to see, like, is, you know, like you saying the whole release thing, and
right.
It's like, and I'm like, wait, what?
But now that you've heard it, you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I can't unhear it. Like, and now it's like it's already shifted things in me, and I'm like, all right.
And here's, you know, I'm so glad you brought the word home up, because a lot of people tuning into our channel are starseeds. And a lot of us feel a homesickness because this world is so fucking corrupt and dense, right? So it's like we don't feel at home here. But every time you feed into that belief, you let them have a little more power. You have to honor that you are in this body, that you are in this timeline, and you have to really start saying, I am home within me, and Earth is my home right now.
I need to work
I need to just commit to where I'm living, my relationships, and show up. Because that's something, you know, for a long time, you know, I was like, I don't feel at home anywhere. And I was constantly in this loop of like traveling and bouncing from house to house and moving and moving and moving and always searching for the next best thing. Oh, I'm going to go there. That's when I'll find home. I get there. Okay, I'm not home because I wasn't accepting my responsibility.
Ooh, I'm going to have to sit with that.
With my human experience. Ooh. Yes, I am a starseed. But in this current now, I am in the human experience. So I have to commit to the human experience. And that means accepting that I do live in a dense world and light attracts moths. You want to be a light worker? Well, guess what happens? You know where light is put? It's put in the fucking darkest of places. It's put where you are not home, where you are not in your comfort. You know, and so anytime I hear someone, I'm like, I don't really feel home in this world. I'm like, honey, well, that's the problem right there. So if you're looking for a place to start with being at home within your body.
Ooh, that's a good one. I need to work on
being
that.
At home within your power. Being at home with your responsibilities, your ability to respond to yourself, to life, to respond, not react. Because this is our home right now. And there's too many people, even people who are like doing medicines and ceremonies, who are not home within their bodies. And so they lead circles and ceremonies and things like that. And entities are working through them and creating more fracture in the consciousness. Because they're still looking for home out here instead of right here.
Yeah. And there's some of us that have been here for so long. Well, we're just done. So it's like you saying that, I'm like, oh man, I need to work on that, because any of you who know me in person will just, I'm just a big fucking lion pretending to be a human. Like my star family is definitely the felines. Mm-hmm. But like, so I struggle because like there's so many times where it's like you said, I'm just like, I'm done with it. And I'm like, how is this even allowed to still happen?
Because this is our soul assignment.
Yeah.
We have to build Earth. But we cannot build the new now Earth until we accept the responsibility of our bodies, the responsibility of our power, the responsibility of our sight, the responsibility of our knowing, the responsibility of just being a part of the human experience.
Yeah.
And the more we accept ourselves and our responsibility, the clearer and quicker we can see through the illusion.
It's true.
And make those aligned actions, make those choices, conscious choices and aligned actions to walk in integrity.
But just know also that when you do that, they come after you.
Oh, yeah.
They
100%.
They do not appreciate you being a free rebel soul at all.
But that's why you have us.
Yes.
And whoever else is here listening and commenting, talk to each other, find people in your frequency, and continue to show up for yourself. And if someone falls off because they don't want to continue, okay, keep going anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to.
You do. Because the truth is, it's everywhere, and they're after all of us.
Yep.
The government literally has a team of beings, psychics, that sit and meditate and travel along and just go into people's consciousness to gather information and truth and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the government, everyone.
I had an incident in my house last week where my partner, we were like in the middle of the altar, like in the middle of a prayer and altar, and I said, can you go to the kitchen and get some water? And he literally turned around and just walked and picked up my bottle of water that was holding the entire grid of the house. Just like, and then I was like, what are you doing? And I like stopped it, but it took me a few days to restore that. He's like, I don't understand what just happened. One split second of absence of presence is all it takes. Mm-hmm. So I had to do some work to reset my grids, and I had to call in some helpers, and then they finally figured it out, and it took me over a week to just that simple act. But the point is like, they not only work through you, but they work through the relationships that you're in. Especially your more intimate ones.
Yes.
Those little piddly fights. That's why it's so important to have like healthy sense of self and know your boundaries and know your lines and know what is okay and is not okay to be crossed. Because they are all around, and they use these psychics who are just like sitting there. Oh, right there. They're arguing right now. Go, fucking get him. Boom. 1 minute you're like having breakfast, and the next minute you're fighting about the dishes not being done. And you're like, what the fuck just happened?
Right? While down the hall from the psychics, they're cloning celebrities and politicians and and whatnot. Like shit's really going down. And when those truths really the full disclosures, I cannot personally wait for full disclosures.
People like you and me are gonna look real fucking sane.
Yeah, all of a sudden shit's gonna be way different for us. All the people have given us dirty looks, have made fun of us, have talked shit about us.
I can't tell you how many times last week I was called the cult leader for having boundaries. Oh, it sounds like you're running a cult over there at the Soul Salon. Why? Because I have boundaries that I don't need to explain to you, and I can't explain to you because you clearly just don't get it.
Yeah, Aubrey Marcus made a cool video because he runs Fit for Service with his people. And they were called like a cult. And he's like, really? And he just made a whole documentary about, is this a cult? And it's beautiful. And it is beautiful. And I was like, way to fucking own it and show it in a way that's just like, so celebrating free thinking, love, helping each other to expand and work through those traumas and release them is a cult.
Right, exactly.
But yet we don't talk about what religion it actually does. Like, but we're not talking about that today. But,
yes.
But they are in charge of that too, by the way. Just saying.
Organized religion, a lot of the political social structures, a lot of these like labels, the whole pronouns thing. It's all a way to continue feeding into segregation and isolation. So the invitation is to really step back into your sovereignty and into your own inclusion. You have to include yourself with life. You have to see past your own illusions and perceptions and distortions of what is real and tap into here. Pledge allegiance back to yourself.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, but
it's so fucking worth it. And why would you not want to do the work when it means a life of peace? A relationship that is truly harmonious.
Loving and compassionate.
Loving and compassionate and supportive and empowering, and that gets you excited to get out of bed.
Exactly. And finding other beautiful souls and beings along this journey to support and
the first 7 years of my journey was extremely lonely and extremely hard. And even towards last year, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? But then I realized I hadn't committed to my human experience. So I literally wrote a contract to God, to the divine, rather, to God, Goddess, Great Spirit. I literally wrote down a contract, commit to my human experience, rooted in the divine that I am.
I may have to try.
And then literally a week later, this house showed up.
Interesting.
And I totally forgot about this letter until a few weeks ago. I found it file. I was like, oh yeah, I wrote this to myself. I totally forgot.
Interesting.
So we have made a soul contract before entering the human experience. But then we will go through the veil of amnesia and we forget. So we have to come back and renew our vows.
Right?
Again and again. And the relationship with self and the relationship with the divine and the relationship with fucking anybody in our life is a choice every single day. You don't just make an agreement one time and then you're like, oh, now we're in it for life and we're never going to check in about it, because change is the only constant. And we're changing every day. So we wake up in the rising and we look at ourselves and we look at, who am I today? And what are the contracts that are open in my life? And are they still in alignment with where I am continuing to head? And then we choose. And we keep going until we die. And we hope, and we trust, rather, that we have done our best because we know that we have.
Right. I like that. And you know, like for me, like usually right when I wake up, I have a practice of asking Master Yeshua, Master Mary to in my mind, I create this blue glowing pyramid around me. But I ask to protect against psychic attacks, dark energies, dark entities, the lizards, anything and everything of lower vibration that is trying to attack me, to completely protect me. And then I ask Archangel Michael to put another layer of protection around that. Because I ain't playing around anymore.
Right. And all of these practices are really beautiful and powerful, but it's not enough. We have to connect with each other, and we have to really start working together, like you and I having this conversation. This is a way that we work on disseminating the darkness and dismantling the illusion.
Shine the light on it.
Shining the light on it. Because until you shine the light on it, you don't fucking know that there's festering worms there. Disgusting, but it is to be looked at.
Yeah. It's bad. There's a lot.
So, how do we want to close today's talk?
You know, that's a tough one because, like, we didn't even I feel like we didn't even touch the surface of. Because it's so big. It's so massive. But, like, I feel like. But what I really do enjoy about how we integrated with ours is our own personal stories of how we interacted, how it's come across, and what we do to work with it. And your perspectives, especially on, like, paying attention to our wording and what we're putting our energy into and how. So that's been beautiful. Thank you for that.
We would love to hear from you, you know, your insights on today's episode. And more importantly, what are you doing in your everyday life to reclaim and strengthen your sovereignty?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, that's the highest work, is relation to self. Because when we have a right relationship with self, then we can truly have right relationship with other. Because we can only engage with others to the level and depth that we engage ourselves. And that can be a real difficult program to break, because for generations we have been inbred with servitude and sacrifice. And so self-love isn't an option. It's non-negotiable.
Well said.
And that is how we rise.
I think that's a good way of ending it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we could just keep on going.
We could. But tune in next week, because I'm excited to see what Timber has to channel through to continue this topic. And I'm already getting clarity on what needs to come through, and specifically bringing in a meditative, a guided meditation to create a grid of protection while you strengthen in your sovereignty. And this is a grid that I've created for myself, and I offer in personal sessions. And I've been feeling for a few years, for really almost over 2 years now, of creating and offering this to others. And I haven't been clear on when or even how, because it's such an individualized process. But I feel like now it's going to be revealed to me.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, and it's interesting because I just realized how calm I've been through this conversation. Because normally this topic gets me really fired up.
I remember when you wrote this topic down, you were really fired up.
It fires me up to the point where I've like literally been like, give me a bunch of swords and battle axes and shields and drop me off of these caves.
This is not the way.
And I'm going to war with these lizard beings. That's not the way. But
not anymore.
But the warrior in me, I'm very warrior. And the warrior in me is just like, cut the head off the snake. But I know that it's more than that.
The fucking snake's gonna grow its heads back.
This is the new way for us, light beings, as warriors, whatever, a way of fighting back in a different way. And it's
violence hasn't worked. Violence has only perpetuated the cycles. What is needed is truth, compassion, and integrity. Truth, integrity, and compassion. Tick, 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 tick,
freedom.
Tick, 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 tick,
freedom
tick.
of the soul. Soul rebels, as Bob would put it.
Soul rebels to our revelation, revolution, and re-elevation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today on this very charged topic. If you haven't already clicked off by now, thank you for sticking with us through the end. And yeah, so grateful to have you here. So grateful for you really pushing me to step into this role. I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for your leadership. So thank you for showing up in your embodiment and leading us in this.
Likewise, I'm grateful you joined me. I'm like, come on, let's do this.
I know, right?
Go you.
To sovereignty.
Sovereignty. For all of us.
Aho.
Let's claim it back. So it is. Aho.
And it is done.
Is there anything else you want to add? We good? All right. Thank you, everyone. Much love.